In today's tutorial, we'll be learning how to draft patterns and sew this crisscross halter neck top. Now this is a very beautiful top that we can wear for summer, or that we can even layer on with our jackets. We can even extend the length of this top to make an evening dress with it. So in today's tutorial, we will be using our dartless bodice block. Now this is mine, the front and then the back. If you don't have your dartless bodice block, no worries at all. I'm going to drop the link for this tutorial in the description box so that you can go ahead and make your own dartless bodice block. It is very easy. In less than 10 minutes, you would have modified your basic bodice block to a dartless bodice block. Very straightforward. Okay, the reason why we are using a dartless bodice block for this tutorial is because we'll be using a stretch fabric to make this top. So that's why we need this dartless bodice block. Okay, so having said that, let's get right to work. So let's start with the front part first. So you're going to trace out your bodice block just like this, the front part, and then you're going to mirror it to this side like this and trace this part as well. All right, then you're just going to extend this neckline. You see how it is? Just going to extend this neckline upwards like this and draw a straight line on top. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do would be for us to drop the armhole. So you drop the armhole about 1 cm and then you mark, and then from this neck point here, this neck tip here, you are going to connect this point to these points. Okay, then the next thing is you're going to determine how deep you want your your blouse to be, how deep you want it to be. So you're going to measure from here. I'm going to use 17 cm. So from here to here, 17 cm. Now you could make yours a little deeper, or you could make it a little higher, but don't make it too deep because your bust is going to show. Okay, now you're going to measure on this side how wide you want the shoulder to be. So here I'm going to be using about 8 cm. I'm using 8 cm because I'm quite on the big side. Now you can decide to use about 6 cm for yours if you're a lot smaller than me. Okay, and then you connect these 2 points together like so. All right, now we're going to trim off the excess paper. So you cut it from the center line. So we don't need this part anymore. And then we're also going to trim off these other parts. Okay, so here's how your pattern is going to look like. Now the next thing you're going to do is you are going to divide this part into 4 parts from here to your waistline. So you're going to divide it into 4 equal parts. And then you come here to, you also divide this part here. This is your shoulder line here. You divide it into 4 equal parts. So since I use 8 cm here, so I'm just going to measure 2 cm each. Okay, and then you're going to connect each of these points to this point here. All right. So before you cut it open, you're going to slash it open from the shoulder all the way down to this part, the side seam. Now before you cut it open, please take note of this our center line. Now you're just going to mark a notch here because you're going to need it for later. So this part here, just give it a little notch, and now you can slash your lines open from the shoulder. Okay, so you're going to get a plain sheet of paper and then you place it underneath so you can spread it out. So now spread on a plain sheet of paper and then use your sticky tape to hold them together in place. Now to spread it, you are going to measure this place. You spread it out, say about 20 cm, depending on how wide you really want it to be. Say about 20 cm or 15 cm. So I'm going to spread my out about 20 cm. Okay. So you draw a straight line across it just like that. So this line here is about 20 cm. And then you use your sticky tape to hold them together in place. Okay, so now you are going to draw a straight line. Make sure that this line is straight. Just like so, and then here you're also going to draw a straight line. Okay, so now before you proceed, you are going to take your bodice block and then you're going to measure the neck circumference. You're going to measure the front neck circumference and the back neck circumference. So you're just going to place your tape on the neckline like so, and then you're going to measure it. All right, so you measure it very well. So here I have 12 cm for the front side, and then you take the back side and then you measure as well. Yours may not be the same as mine, so take note. And here I have 9 cm. So you're going to add them together. 9 plus 12, the front and the back, you add them together. So I have 21 cm. Now remember that this part is just half of the back and this part is half of the front. So if you add 21 cm, you need to times it by 2 so that you get the full neck circumference. So if I times mine by 2, I'm going to have 42 cm as my neck circumference. Now if this is a lot of calculation for you, just take your tape measure and measure your neck circumference round, but for me this is way easier. Okay, so you measure it, whatever you have as your neck circumference, you're going to divide it by 4. So I have 42 as my neck circumference, so if I divide it by 4, I'm going to have about 10.5 cm. Okay, so whatever you have as yours is what you're going to use. So you're going to measure from here. Now you're going to measure your neck circumference that you have divided by 4. So I have 10.5, so I'm not going to just put that 10.5. I'm going to add 1 cm to it for ease of movement so that it will not be too tight, it will not choke your neckline. So since I have 10.5 as my neck circumference after dividing by 4 plus 1 cm for ease, that will be 11.5 cm. So you're just going to add it nicely like so. From here you add that measurement nicely. Okay, and then you do exactly the same thing for this side as well. Okay, and then you connect them together in a straight line. Okay, so we are going to cut this part out. Now if for example you want to tie this your your top at the back, you don't want to join it at the neckline, you just want to tie it, you can make this, you can extend this part a lot longer according to your taste. But for me, I want to join it at the back, so I'm just going to stop here. So now you're going to trim off all the excess paper. So let me trim it off from here. So this is my center front, and I'm going to write it, and this is going to be cut 2 pieces. So you're going to cut 2 pieces of this pattern. So the next thing would be, you're going to measure, remember this notch that we placed here, so you're going to measure from here to here what value you have. So for me, I have about 22.3 cm. So you're going to measure from here to the same value. It has to be exactly the same thing. You're going to find out why later, because it's going to serve, that's what we're going to stitch it and end it. Okay, so you place your mark here as well. So from here to here, whatever value you have, okay, 22.3, so you also mark it here as well. Oh, okay, sorry, here, not this one. Okay, so mine is here and not this. This was an error. Okay, so it has to be exactly the same thing. All right, so that's it for the front part. We want to work on the back side now. So for the back side, you're also going to trace out your back bodice block, and then you are just going to take it down from the armhole 1 cm, just the way we did for the front part, and then you're going to draw a straight line across where you want your back to stop. Okay, now you're going to add some seam allowance to the back side. So I can take a plain sheet of paper, just place it here so that I'll be able to add my seam allowance, because my seam allowance is going to cut across like so. So I'm going to add about 3 cm seam allowance from here. The reason is because we're going to place elastic at the back, so it needs a bit bigger seam allowance. Okay, all right, so I'm just marking my seam allowance just like so. All right, so I'm going to fold. This is going to be my fold line. That's where my back is going to stop. Okay, let me cut off this part first. Okay, because we don't need this part anymore. So I'm just going to fold on my seam allowance like so. Okay, then I'm going to trim off this excess so that my patterns will balance well on the inside. Okay, so when I open it up, I'm going to have something like this. All right, now again, this is my center back, and this is going to be cut 2 pieces. Okay, so right now we finished with the back side. So that's actually the pattern drafting for the front and the back. Really easy, right? Now if you really enjoyed this tutorial, please, and if it was simple enough for you to understand, please don't hesitate to subscribe if you have not already done so. Please subscribe and give me a big thumbs up and let me know what you think in the comment section. All right, and you can go further to share these tutorials with your friends and loved ones. Okay, thank you very much. If you're a returning subscriber as well, thank you so much for being here with me. I really appreciate you guys. Okay, so now we're going to place our patterns on our fabric and then cut them out. I'm going to show you how to stitch it. It's also pretty easy, so no worries. So hang on, we'll do that soon. So for this project, you need about 1 meter of fabric. I'm using a leftover fabric for mine, so that's why my fabric is like this. Okay, now the best fabric for this project will be a stretch fabric. So you can see my fabric stretches a lot. Okay, Good. Now you fold your fabric into two and then you place your pattern on it. Now when you place your pattern on it, I'm going to add seam allowance to mine. I'm going to add 1 cm seam allowance all around. Now some persons will say that because you're working with stretch fabrics, you don't need to add seam allowance. Well, that principle I think does not work for all kinds of stretch fabrics, because stretch fabrics, they all have different amounts of stretch in them. Okay, but if you're confused and you really want to learn how to work with stretch fabrics, I have a tutorial that is fully dedicated for stretch fabrics. It shows how to draft patterns for different kinds of stretch so you don't have issues. Now if you're interested, I'll drop the link in the description box below. Then you go sign up and then you see how to draft patterns for all kinds of stretch fabrics. Okay, it's pretty easy. Okay, so let's cut out our patterns. Okay, so once you finish cutting, you're going to give it a notch. You're going to notch this part where you put your mark here. I hope you can see. Let me shift it a little bit. Okay, so you're going to notch this part and then you're also going to notch this part as well. And then you give this point a little notch as well. Okay. Okay, so to start stitching, we're going to go join the center back first. So from the top all the way down to the hem line, and then you open press your seam allowance. So next you're going to fold in your seam allowance on the top so that you can create your casing for your elastic. So I already went ahead to iron mine. This is 3 cm that we added. So just fold it like this. I ironed it so that it will be nice and neat. So you're going to stitch from one end now to the other end, leaving this opening here where you will pass your elastic through. Okay. So now you take your elastic, and depending on how stretchy your elastic is, you're going to cut it. My elastic is very stretchy, so I'm just going to cut about 3/4 of my back length. So I'm just going to cut and stop here. Okay. So and then we're going to pass the elastic through the elastic casing. You use your safety pin. Okay, so you're going to go stitch this side together like so, and then you're also going to stitch this edge together too. Okay. Okay, so we're going to set this aside. You can go ahead to overlock your raw edges to make it nice, but since you're working with stretch fabric, it doesn't really matter much if you don't have an overlocker, right? So for the front side, you're just going to stitch from here, this part where we notched, stitch it all the way down to the hem, and then you open press your seam allowance. So after joining the center front, you're going to have something like this. Now you're going to take this part and then fold it like this. This is the right side, so you fold it like this, and then your two notches, match them, and then you're going to go ahead and stitch from here all the way down to the end. From here all the way down to the end, and then you're going to do exactly the same thing for this other side as well. Okay, so once you get to that point there where your notch is, you back stitch it very well. So the next thing would be for us to join them together here at the neckline. So you're just going to flip them to the right side, flip this other one as well. Okay, good. And now we're going to join them together. So you're going to match the seams. So match the two seams like so, and then use your pins to hold them together in place. Okay, and then you can go from the inside of any one of them like so. Okay, good. So now you're going to use your pins to hold them round. And then you're going to stitch all around to close it up. All right. Okay, so once you finish stitching it round, we're going to turn it to the right side. Good. So once you turn it to the right side, you're going to have something like this. All right, so you see our neckline is already forming, and then when you want to rock it, it's just something like this, you see. Anyway, so let's finish it up. So the next thing you're going to do now is we are going to finish off this part so that it will look nice and neat. So you're just going to fold it in like so, and then you're going to stitch it like that, and then you do the same thing for the other side. And then for this side, you're also going to stitch it as well. So you see, you fold it in nicely, and then you stitch from here all around to this place, so that will make it really nice and neat. Okay. So once you get to this part, you lift up your needle, turn it nicely so that you can stitch here beautifully. Okay, and then you continue stitching. You continue stitching all the way down to these parts. Okay. Okay, so now you take it to the ironing board and give it a very good press. So now the next thing would be for us to join the back side to the front side. So you place your pattern just like so, or your fabric, and then you're going to join them at the side seam. So you join from the top all the way down to the hem, and then you do exactly the same thing for this other side, and then you go and finish off the hem, fold in your hem very nicely. All right, so once you finish, you're going to have a beautiful top just like this. You see, so you wear it by twisting the neckline just like this on your neckline, like so. You see, so this is how the front looks like, nice and neat, right? Now when you flip it to the back side, this is how the back side is going to look like. You see? So I hope you like this tutorial. Was it simple enough for you to understand? Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And if it is a tutorial you really enjoyed, please kindly share with your friends and loved ones as well. Give me a big thumbs up. Let me know that you like it. All right, and please, if you have not subscribed yet, do not forget to subscribe. Thank you so much. I will see you again in my next class. Until then, do have a blessed day. Bye bye.